Hi, I'm Tim Carter. You're watching Ask the Builder. Thanks so much for being here today. It's a wonderful day here in New Hampshire, and I hope that we have a really fun time today. Each live stream is getting better and better, so thanks for joining today. Before we go any farther, today's live stream brought to you by Stain Solver. It's a certified organic oxygen bleach. It's magic. You just mix it with water, and it cleans anything that's water washable. Don't believe me? Go to the Stain Solver website and just watch the videos and just start typing some keyword phrases in. Actually, the best before and after photos that we've received in 25 years. I'm serious. So right over my shoulder here, you see what that is, don't you? That's a baseball cap, just a regular hat that you wear. So type baseball cap into the search engine at Stain Solver. Look at the before picture and stop right there. Don't go any farther. Tell me what color you think the hat is. All right. Wait till you scroll down and see it. And then read George's story. If that doesn't sell you on Stain Solver, nothing ever will. All right. So thanks so much for joining. Today is Ask Anything. You can ask anything you want. I really don't care. Just type your question, your comment, over in the chat area. But first, I'm going to start off a little bit with attic trusses. And actually, where I'm sitting in above my own garage in a space that was created with attic trusses. And they're amazing, amazing things that are made in a factory. And you basically get a free room. They work really well with steeper pitched roofs. Like the roof that's over me right now is a 912 pitch. That means that it rises 9 inches vertically for every 12 inches of run. If you go steeper, like a 1212 pitch roof, you get even a bigger room. But in my case, my garage is about, 26 feet wide is what I would say. Maybe 24. I don't have the plans in front of me. I didn't build the house, so that's why I don't know. Let's see, I've got 2 9-foot garage doors, and then I'd say 24 to 25 feet wide. And the room here is 12 feet wide with an 8-foot ceiling. Okay, so right where my finger is, you can see that there's a knee wall that's 4 feet high, and then you have a vaulted ceiling that runs up to the 8-foot spot above my head. So wonderful, wonderful way to gain a huge room in your house, above a garage, above a shed, whatever it might be. Also keep in mind that if you want to get just some storage space and you don't want to have a really steep roof and you want to have a flatter roof, the truss companies can make what's called a storage truss. All right. So it does the same thing. It creates a room, it's basically an attic space, but you have to kind of crouch down and you have to crawl on your knees, through this space because it doesn't have an 8-foot ceiling in it because you went with a shallow pitched roof. All right. So just understand you can get attic trusses. Just go to my website, AsktheBuilder.com, type attic truss into the search engine. You'll see a really cool video actually that I recorded. It would have been about 3 years, a little less than 3 years ago. So it's really some big monster attic trusses that were put on my daughter's new home up in Mount Desert Island in Maine. Okay, so remember, you can ask any question you want about your home. I don't care if it's a heating question. I don't care if you're putting in tile. I don't care if you need to know the best paint. If you've got a problem to solve, I'll do my best to do it. But I don't, I have a lot of skills. And there's a lot I don't have. And one that I do not have is I don't have ESP. So I cannot read your mind and figure out exactly what's going on there. So anyway, I wanted to tell you something really, really fun I did about 2 or 3 hours ago. So the story starts out about, I don't know, it starts out like 5-6 weeks ago. Here in New Hampshire, you have to get a safety inspection every year. And it's really a good idea. They also do an emissions test as well. But most modern cars, they always pass the emissions test. I mean, the only reason it wouldn't is if your check engine light's on. there might be something wrong that's causing pollution. Anyway, so they do a really thorough check, and my truck, it's 13 years old and it's really in pretty good shape. Well, not really. So it failed the inspection, and there were two major problems. It failed because there are these things called rail beds, rails underneath the pickup truck body. That it's a channel. It's a U-shaped channel that is welded to the underside of the pickup truck body, and these rails run perpendicular to the chassis. The chassis is basically the all the stuff that is bolted to the frame of a vehicle. Okay, so those had rusted out and they were in pretty bad shape. And I got them repaired, and I got and also the cab corners, the rear two cab corners had rusted, and they finally rusted through, and that's a violation. So the state seems to think that exhaust gas from the truck can somehow get back up into the cab. It doesn't make sense to me because the truck's going forward and the exhaust pipe is 7 feet behind the cab corners. So maybe they think you drive in reverse a lot and you have the windows open. I don't know. So anyway, so what happened is I had to get the work done. Then I had to take the truck back. I also had to get some snow tires put on my wife's car. And somehow, somewhere along the line, at the place where I get the inspection done, they're really, really a great company. It's Eurasian Auto Works in Tilton, New Hampshire. Great people, great company. Anyway, the manager, young guy, told me, his name's Toby, and Toby said, I don't know how it came up in conversation. I think I was just telling him how I was upset at my truck. It's an F-250 4x4, and I ride with it empty all the time. I mean, back in the day, it would have been loaded down with 1,500 pounds of tools, and I had a utility body. But this truck is really stiff. So when you go over a bump, I mean, you're just like, it just jiggles. I mean, it's horrible. It's just horrible. And I've never liked it. All right. So, and I thought, okay, I'll just put some concrete block in, because early on when I first got the truck, I mean, literally within the first, 2 months, I didn't have a cap on it. And we needed some mulch here at the house. I went to a local landscape place that sold mulch in bulk. And they had like a tractor with a bucket on it. And they put a bunch of mulch in the back of the truck. I mean, we put as much as we could possibly put in it. And riding home, the truck rode like it had marshmallows for tires. I mean, it was like riding in a Cadillac, because those F-250s, these 3/4 ton trucks, they want to have a little weight put in them. So I knew that, but I just didn't think of an easy way to do it. Well, so Toby from Eurasian said, remember, if you have a question, type it in the chat. Happy to answer it. Just go ahead and type any question you want, and I'll do my best to answer it because it's Ask Anything Wednesday. Toby said, oh, you know what? He said, what some people do is they go to the big box stores and they buy those really cheap patio stones, those 1 foot by 1 foot patio stones, and they put those on the bed of the truck. And I went, oh, it was like one of those V8, commercial head moments, like, oh, why didn't I think of that? So if you do the math, basically a cubic foot of concrete weighs about 150 pounds. And so one of those patio stones, it's 1.57 inches thick. So it's a little over 1.5 inches. And if you do the math, you find out that those patio stones weigh about almost 20 pounds, about 19.6 pounds. And then if you put 24 of them in the back of a F-250, like I did today, because I've got a 6.5 foot bed, you're putting in about 500 pounds. So it's about 471 pounds. And I did that. So I had to go get my inspection sticker today. It passed. On my way back, I stopped at one of the big box stores, got these 24 stones, put them in, and just driving out of the parking lot, I could already tell, like, oh my gosh, it was just amazing. So I quickly came home and I thought, okay, I'm going to make a video about this. And I made a video, did it really quickly, came out pretty good. So you can go right to my channel page, here on YouTube, and you can see it. You'll see it right away. I think it's how to make F-250 ride smoother. So anyway, yeah, I did get to my attic truss talk, but I tell you what, I'll repeat it really quickly, CB. I'm sorry you got in here a little late. So anyway, go watch that video about how to make an F-250 ride smoother. And if you have anybody, that has a 3/4 ton truck, and here's the best part. So you hardly take up any space at all. I mean, you're only taking up 1.5 inches out of the bed. So when I put the rubber mat back over the concrete stones, the paving stones, you can't even tell they're there. Just pretty amazing. So thank you, Toby. I'll thank him when I see him next time. Okay, so CB, attic trusses. I'm sitting in some right now, right where I am. I'm actually sitting above my garage. My garage is about 26 feet wide. The roof on my garage is a 9/12 pitch, so it means it rises 9 inches for every 12 inches of horizontal run. And to make a long story short, when you do that, it creates a room that's 12 feet wide. So here is a knee wall right here. And over here, you can't see it. I'm pointing to another one over here. There's another knee wall that's identical, but they're 12 feet apart. Okay. And the ceiling above my head, you've got this vaulted ceiling that goes up, but there's a flat spot above my head that's almost 3 feet wide, and it's 8 feet high. So it makes a wonderful room. And of course, before I put this partition wall in behind me, this is a partition wall, this huge space up above the garage was 40 feet long. All right. So a giant, huge room that you can partition off, do whatever you want. So they're very, very wonderful. Because so many people, especially the trend, here's what's so amazing when you think about it. If you look at some of the upper class homes that are being built, the trend over the past 10 years is really steep roofs, 12/12, even 14/12 pitch roofs. And so, but they're just built with regular trusses, and all that space is wasted. So just understand that you can get attic trusses, and you can get their baby brother, which is called a storage truss. So if you have if you don't want a steep pitch roof, you want one that's a little shallower, you can get a storage truss, and it creates a room in the truss, but it's not as tall. You usually you cannot walk in it. There's no way. It might be 4 or 5 feet high, so you'd be kind of crouched over walking through that space. But it gives you lots of room, and you can safely store things up in the truss. Remember, regular trusses. I see people all the time. They kind of try to convert their attic that's just got regular trusses into an attic and store things, and they put heavy stuff up there. That's not what those trusses were made for. They were not made for that, okay? But the storage trusses have a bigger bottom cord, generally a 2x6. If depending on the span, it might be 2x8. Like my trusses, the bottom cord is a 2x10. So they take all that into consideration. They know there's going to be weight up there. So anyway, they're really, really great. Hi, Louise. Hi, Tim. He says, hi, Tim. How's it going? It's going good today. Yeah, I've got a lot of space up here in my attic trusses. And the only mistake I made I'm in my little man cave right now, is I made it too small. And that mistake should have never happened, because I've written columns about it. I wanted a really small, cozy spot, but the mistake I made is I didn't. This is going to sound funny. I didn't make it big enough to be able to have a recliner chair in here, to be able to take a nap. I mean, I could kick myself in the butt for making that mistake. So right now the room's 7x12, and it's very nice. It's a very nice, cozy space. It's a little bit of a mess right now, but I should have made it at least 12x12, probably 14x12. So you always want to have more space than you think you need, believe me. Well, how is it heated? Oh, good. That's a great question. So, okay, right here, I'll get out of the way. So right here is the thermostat and the computer control for the NuHeat. That's the actual brand, NuHeat, NuHeat, radiant electric floor mat. So there's, and I've got a 3-part video series on on my website. So go back to AsktheBuilder.com and type radiant floor heat. mat, and you'll see, I show you step by step how I put that mat in. It's really pretty cool video series. So it's electric. It's very inexpensive to run. It keeps the room here just warm as can be. I've got a laminate floor on top of it. And the laminate's really beautiful looking. I wish you could see it. It's like this old pegged oak flooring. I mean, if you look at it, you actually think it's an oak floor. It's a very, the people who made it, 7 or 8 years ago, they did a remarkable job of replicating what, kind of beat up old or oak flooring looks like. It's amazing. People who see it, people who come up in here, they think it's a real oak floor. So it's very comfortable. There's no noise. It does a fantastic job. That, of course, that thermostat there, it's completely programmable. You can have it go, like, in other words, if I always walk out of my cave at about 6:00, 6:30 at night. So I could have it, kind of crank back down to 65, 60 degrees. And then, like at 4 a.m, it could come back. It could automatically come back on. So, because it takes a while, realize radiant heat takes a little bit of time to build up. So it might take a couple hours for it to get back up to 70 degrees or whatever I want it to be. And you'll figure that out over time. You'll figure out what that time frame is. And as it gets colder outside, it would take longer for it to come up to temperature. But the point is, it's not like the old-fashioned thermostats where, it's just on or off, I mean, so the programmable thermostat's fantastic invention. They're wonderful. So that's how I heat it. George, what do you think of the new lightweight tile backer board that is being used in showers now instead of cement board? Well, George, the problem is I don't know exactly what brand or what type you're talking about. So there's, if you had a brand, that would be great if I could just know what exactly you're talking about. I can tell you there's one that I really like, and it's been around, you say new. This one's probably been around 15 years. It was made by Georgia Pacific. I don't know if they still make it because I haven't used it in a while, but it's called Dense Shield. And it's actually a gypsum product, so it's easier to cut. It's just like drywall, but I'll tell you what, it's a lot like the Zip sheathing now. In other words, if you look at, in fact, Zip, that Zip company that makes all that sheathing you see on new homes, it's green colored, that's a plastic coating on top of the OSB. They probably got the idea from Dense Shield because the Dense Shield backer board has got a coating almost identical, but it's also got some fiberglass in it, I believe. And and they also treat the core, and the core of the Dense Shield is pretty much waterproof. In the old days, that green board drywall was not waterproof, not by a long shot. All right. But they kind of marketed it that way. I thought it was unethical. I got burned by that really early in my career. I put it in a bathroom, and about 10 years later, all the tiles started falling off the wall. So anyway, Dense Shield, great product, great product. I have not had a failure with that. So, but anyway, I just don't know which brand you're talking about. So, Ron, remember, if you got any question type it in the chat. I'll do my best to answer it. Oh, I also want to remind you, you could do me a huge favor. If you like the live stream, I don't see it on my control panel. It must be at your end. I see I've already gotten 3 thumbs up. Boy, I'd really appreciate it. The more thumbs up I get, the better Google likes it, blah, blah, blah. You know how all that magic works. So please, if you like what I'm doing, always give me a thumbs up. I just want a quick reminder. Okay, Ron, any ideas on how to rehab my outside concrete steps without replacing? Over the years, have become pitted. Yeah, easy. I don't have the luxury of seeing a picture, but I can kind of imagine what they're like. Ron, you're going to do a concrete overlay. I call it concrete. Really, you're going to stucco it. You're going to do exactly what the old concrete masons did 100 years ago. I've got columns on my website about this. It's absolutely amazing. You can mix up just cement stucco, Portland cement, and I would probably use medium sand, medium grain sand, not coarse and not fine. So get medium. You have to go to a gravel pit to get that. Anyway, 2 to 1, meaning 2 parts sand, 1 part cement. And even if you can get a bag of hydrated lime, I'd put like a quarter measure of hydrated lime in. That will really help. So go to my website, and here's how you do. Ron, type in cement paint. 2 words, cement. You know how to spell cement, you know how to spell paint. Type those 2 words into the search engine of my website. Read all of the columns that come back about that topic. And it goes into great detail and tells you exactly what to do, how to do it. And all I'm going to ask is that if you've never done this before, I want you to do a little test. All right. And what I mean by that is it could be something as simple as I did today. You'll go to one of the big box stores. You'll buy 2 or 3 of those 1 foot by 1 foot patio stones, concrete patio stones. They cost me today $1.97 each. All right. So you're going to invest $6. You're going to buy a bag of pure Portland cement. All right. Pure Portland cement. You know, the powder. I mean, it's very fine. And what's a bag of cement cost now? I haven't priced it in a while. I don't know. I'm just going to guess $12. All right. And and 1 bag is going to make so much material you can't believe it. Anyway, read my columns. I also have a 3-part video series about repairing concrete block. All right. So type cement paint in, read those columns, and then type repair concrete block into the website search engine and watch those 3 videos. And it shows you exactly what to do. And your steps are going to look fantastic. But I want you to practice first on those, pavers, so that you get the technique down, so that you discover how to trowel it, like with a wood float, and you know when to trowel it, so you got to practice so you don't mess it up. But you'll be able to restore them. They're going to look absolutely brand new. They're going to look wonderful. In fact, I would love for you to take before and after photos, and please send them to me. All you do is just go back to the website. You'll see the Ask Tim page. And if you click that and fill out that form, there's like 3 buttons there that allow you to upload photos. So I would love to see your before and after photos. All right. You're welcome, George. All right, Joe, I'll get your questions in a second. Yesterday, I got a little dry. I didn't have anything to drink during the live stream. Okay. Joe's got a question here. Do you like stucco houses, especially in Houston, Texas? Well, I've only been to Houston 1 time, 23 years ago. The husband of my daughter's realtor said he would never buy a stucco home because of water problems. All right. So now there's 2 types of stucco houses, in my opinion. And I was the first independent journalist to break the story about all of the literally billions of dollars of damage that the synthetic stucco people suffered from. All right. So it's called EIFS, EIFS, and it stands for Exterior Insulation Finishing System. And if you go to any small strip shopping mall, you will see tens of thousands of square feet of EIFS. And what happens is the contractors frame the facade above the picture windows with steel studs, and then they put on a sheathing that's waterproof, and then they glue onto that this inch or inch and a half thick open cell foam, and then the plaster, I don't know what you want to call them, the workmen take these buckets of stuff, and all it is just acrylic. It's just plastic. It's liquid plastic that has some sand in it, and they trowel it onto the white foam. I'm sure you've seen this done. You probably haven't paid attention though. And this EIFS material, this acrylic, it already comes colorized. It never has to be painted. It's solid color, and it's just like buying anything plastic. I don't know. I'm trying to. I mean, here's a plastic fountain pen I use. I love fountain pens. The old-fashioned real fountain pen. Like you had in grade school. All right. So anyway, this is solid blue. I mean, I could scratch it and it's still blue underneath it. Well, that's the way that EIFS is. All right. Here's the trouble. The EIFS works great on commercial buildings. All right. Because there's no wood. I mean, almost all commercial building codes do not allow wood. If they do use wood, it's got to be fire treated. It's a big pain in the butt. So just about everything in commercial work is hold. You're not going to believe this. I got to get this call. Yes, dear. Yes, you do. All right. Well, I'm on a live stream. I can't, and everybody that's watching me talk to you, I'm going to get a bunch of comments now. They're going to be laughing like crazy. So yes, you got to stop and get the mail. Bye. So I'm sorry about that. The reason I had to answer that is it was my wife, and I call her she who must be obeyed. All right. So she was out, and I was afraid that maybe the car had broken down. So that's why I answered it. So thank you for your patience. All right. So anyway, D. Joe. So I would never ever buy a house that has made with this synthetic. It's called synthetic stucco. Never. You couldn't give it to me. You could not even give me a house. Okay, but I'll bet you in Houston, in the older parts of Houston, something that's 100 years old, that we could go find some traditional stucco homes that were made with cement stucco, and I would buy that house. All right, so that's the big answer to your question. And here's what you need to understand about the synthetic stucco that I described, the eaves houses. So imagine this. I know you've done this. So I'm sure you've taken a piece of clear plastic and laid it on the grass on your lawn, like on a spring or summer day. And if you come back just a few minutes later, the underside of the plastic has already got moisture on it. All right. Because the sun is pulling the water vapor out of the ground, out of the soil, and it hits that plastic and it stops and it condenses into liquid water. All right. So if you put this eave stuff on your house, this acrylic stuff, you're basically surrounding your entire house with this giant sheet of plastic. I can't even believe, this is why I'm bothered. I'm going to vent a little bit here. This is why I get so upset at the building code. Oh, I hear people talk all the time like, oh, the building code, it's this wonderful thing. It's so wonderful, blah, blah, blah. Are you kidding me? How could the people who author the building code allow people like you to put liquid plastic on the outside of their home and not think that the wood is going to rot out? And that's exactly what's happening. And that's what your realtor buddy, let's see. Yeah, my daughter's realtor said. Okay, exactly. Your daughter's realtor is correct. You would never want to buy one of those synthetic stucco homes because they're all going to rot out. It's horrible. All right. So it should have never been allowed. The reason it works in commercial work is why I just said it a few minutes ago. They don't use wood. They use galvanized steel studs. They use other steel that's been painted, so it just that kind of stuff drives me nuts about the code. I should probably do another live stream just about things I don't like about the building code. Oh, and I'll say this one final thing about the building code, if you've not thought this through. So the building code is a set of minimum standards. Do you understand that? Minimum standards. So if you build your house to code, it's like getting a 70% on a test. Are you old enough to remember when, I don't think the schools do it anymore. All right. Don't even get me started on that. But anyway, back in my day, you took a test and you got a grade. And if you got a 70, you just barely passed. If you got a 69, you failed the test. All right. Yeah, I know the teachers would curve the grades. You might be a teacher watching. Doesn't matter. 70, you just barely pass. So if you build your house to code, it's like getting 70 on a test. You can always build better than the code. Always. You can always do whatever the code says. You can do much, much better. All right. So just always keep that in mind. You're very welcome, Joe. Very, very welcome. It's not, you say it's not the stucco, it's what's behind the stucco. On wood, not so good. On cement block in Florida, not a problem. Okay, so I disagree with you, Sean, to a degree. I disagree with you to a degree. Yes, sure. Go ahead and put the eaves on concrete block. You still have an issue where you cannot get the water vapor from the inside of the house. You can't get it outside like it did in the old days. So here's a really interesting, this is kind of an interesting sidebar. I'm one of the few websites that I've ever seen this on. In fact, I've never seen it anywhere else. So, and here's why I know this. I was really lucky early in my career that I worked in Cincinnati and I worked on all these older homes. I'm talking about houses that were built in the late 1800s, early 1900s. So I'm working on houses that are 70 years old, almost 100 years old in cases. Almost all of them were wood frame. Many of them were balloon framed. Okay, so balloon framing, that's it's a really dangerous type of framing. It basically creates a chimney from the basement all the way up to the attic, and firefighters hate them because if the house caught on fire and fire got inside the wall on these outside walls, it would just go all the way up to the roof right away. All right, so but here's the remarkable thing. In all of the room additions I did, in all of the houses, every time I tore out a wall or had to repair plaster, and there was no insulation in these walls in almost all cases. Guess what? The wood was not rotted. There was no mold. There was no mildew. But you go into that's all you hear about today in modern homes that are built, just filled with mold and mildew. All right. So the reason why is because in the old homes, they were so drafty that the water vapor that was inside the home, it could get outside really quickly. It would get outside before it condensed. All right. And even if it did condense on the wood before, if it had a little trouble getting outside, and that's also why in the old houses, they always had chronic problems with the paint peeling. They would go, gosh, we just painted it a year or two ago, and we already have paint peeling. Well, no wonder, because the water vapor from inside goes through the wood, hits the back of the paint, and it goes, wait a minute, I need to get out of here. So it pushes the paint, it creates a blister, blah, blah, blah. All right. So Sean, even though you're in Florida in a pretty humid environment, you've got water vapor in these houses, and the water vapor needs to get outside. So when you put that EIFS on the outside of these block homes, it's only got one way to go. It can only go up. All right. So not a big fan of that. I'm just saying, the way we control that in wood frame houses, of course, we put a vapor barrier, which means you never want to put a vapor barrier on the ceiling of your home. You've got to get that water vapor out of the house, up into the attic, and out of there. So anyway, but I agree. You put EIFS on concrete block, it's not going to rot out the concrete block. I absolutely agree with you there, Sean. Cement-based stucco, nothing else. Okay, got it. Okay, great. That's even better. I couldn't agree more. Cement-based stucco on cement block is wonderful. Why? Because water vapor passes right through concrete or cement. It goes right through it. It goes like a BB going through a chain link fence. All right. So no problem. So I agree. Great. All right. Yeah, I was talking about the EIFS. All right. So we're on the same page. No problems. If you have any question, comment, whatever, now's the time to put it in the chat. And I would do my best to answer it. I really enjoy answering your questions. That's the whole purpose of this live stream, because what's the title of it? Ask the Builder. So ask me something. Go ahead. Doesn't matter what it is, except we're not going to talk politics. We're not talking religion. We're not talking about old girlfriends. We're just let's stick to building and remodeling. Okay. All right. Nothing like great water. Okay. No other questions. So let me tell you another story of something that happened to me. I'm getting ready. I haven't done the consult yet, but I already know what it is. A gentleman purchased one of my phone consults. I'm trying to arrange the time right now with him to go over it. And he emailed me maybe a week or so ago. And I think it's his son house. His son has an outdoor sprinkling system. And I guess they just installed it. And when the sprinklers come on, I say sprinklers, only one sprinkler comes on, and just a little bit of water, comes out of the sprinkler head. And they're like puzzled, like, what in the heck is going on? Why aren't the sprinklers working the way they should? All right. So anyway, when he messaged me when he purchased the consult time, and it turns out that I don't know where the pressure gauge is. I don't know. I haven't talked to him yet, so I don't know this. But he just said that, and he just said that, well, the current pressure in the house is 10 to 20 psi. All right, so I've been a master plumber since 1981. So gosh, that's a long time, 40 years. And here's the standard. Basically, municipal water systems, like if you're on a city water main, but almost by edict, the minimum pressure that they supply to you, that they have to supply to you, is 40 pounds per square inch. And 40 pounds it's pretty pathetic. I mean, it's just not much. And here's something a lot of people don't know. I don't know if you've seen them in your town, or, have you ever seen a water tower? I'm sure you've seen these water towers. And a lot of people think, well, if they live really close to a water tower, they're going to have great pressure. No, it's just the opposite. The higher up the hill you are, the closer you are to the water tower, the worse your water pressure is. So you want to be down in a valley, as far down, like hundreds of feet down from the water tower. Like in Cincinnati, the Mill Creek Valley is a lot of parts of Cincinnati are about 400 feet lower than the plateau that surrounds the city. And so the water towers are up on those plateaus. Well, the water pressure down in the valley is like over 200 psi. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's dangerous water pressure. All right. So obviously you already know this guy's problem. Are you kidding me? If you've only got 20 psi in this house, no wonder the sprinklers aren't working right. Well, fortunately, you can purchase booster pumps that you can put in your system. Like if you have a house that's only got 40 psi and you want to have 70 is a really great pressure inside a home. You get some really invigorating showers. Water comes out of your garden hoses pretty well. So you can buy these. They're not too expensive, but it's just a simple electric motor that runs a pump and it boosts, and you can set the pressure to whatever you want, but I wouldn't go over 70. And that's almost a DIY installation, especially today with these new press fittings. In other words, in my day, you always had to solder everything. But now you can just put these press fittings on and crimp the end of the fitting, and boom, you've got a leak-proof joint. It's amazing. So pressure pumps, get a pressure pump. Okay, here we go. We're getting some good questions now. Will, should I insulate my roof skylights for the winter? I now have pull-down dual-core window shades. That's a great question. I assume, Will, you mean that you would stuff insulation up in the skylights and you would block all the light for the whole winter. All right, that's what I'm assuming. I can't imagine how she would do it because you say I now have pull-down dual-core window shades. All right. So you might, first of all, you're going to cause an indirect issue because we just talked a little bit ago about the water vapor in your home. For example, if you have a lot of indoor plants, when you take showers, when you cook pasta, when you cook anything, you put all this water vapor into the air. So that water vapor goes up because hot air rises. And that's why many people around their skylights, they always complain about mold and mildew. And that's why, because the water vapor goes up and it condenses on that glass. Well, if you put that insulation up there, there's no way for that water to evaporate. So I would not do it. I would not insulate it. You're only going to save, I can't even imagine how little you would save on your fuel bill by doing that. I don't know that you'd ever get a payback. I mean, you might spend $10 on insulation and you might not think that's much. Okay, great. Well, that $10, it might take you 20 years to pay that back, because you're only insulating a very small area. So I would not do it. And because I also, in the wintertime, are you kidding me? I want as much light in my home as possible. I mean, like here where I'm at right now, it's already dark. It's almost pitch black outside right now here in New Hampshire. It's 20 till 5. Are you kidding me? So a month from now at the solstice, it's going to be dark at basically at 3:40. It's crazy. All right, because we're on the eastern side of the time zone. All right. So no, Will, don't do it. Here's DJO. I live in the country and my water meter is about 500 feet to the house. I'm thinking about replacing PVC lines. You would put it, I would put in 2-inch, Joe. Put in a 2-inch water line. It's going to make all the difference in the world. All the difference in the world. All right, so Tim, how do I determine if the wall between my den and living room is a bearing wall? It's a brick ranch built in 72. Would love to open up this area. Oh, well, so I've got a column and a great video on my website. I keep saying this every live stream. Go to the website. Whenever you have a question about anything, go to AsktheBuilder.com. All right. There's a search engine on every page. There's a search thing. All right. So use it. So all you would have typed in, try DIY, is just type in bearing wall. In other words, and that's another trick about using search engines. When you first start to do a search, don't type in a long sentence. Like never type in, is the wall between my den and living room a bearing wall? No. Don't do that. Just type in bearing wall, all right? And see what comes back. And then if there's too many search results, then add another word, just add one word at a time. All right. So you're going to see a video about how you determine it, and you're going to read all kinds of really cool columns. So if in doubt, if you're really in doubt about if it's a bearing wall, the best money you'll ever spend, is in your town. I'm sure there's a residential structural engineer. He might charge you $175, maybe $250 to come out and look, and he would just tell you, if you can't figure it out yourself. And it's the best money you'll ever spend. You'll have complete peace of mind. So bring in an expert who knows what he's talking about. All right, you're welcome, Will. Here's David. Water pipes that run from a conditioned crawl space through the foundation and back into the heated wall space above an unconditioned open crawl space. When the temperature down to 0, the pipe freezes. Okay. What can we do about? First of all, don't use heat tape. Heat tape's really dangerous. I have seen fires caused by heat tape. Not a big fan of heat tape. All right. So probably the best thing to do, as crazy as it sounds, the safest thing to do, the easiest, probably lowest cost thing to do, would be to replace those lines with PEX. And the brand I like is UPONOR. So UPONOR. Because PEX, here's the beautiful thing about PEX, is that if the water freezes in it, it doesn't burst the PEX. Right? But you still have the problem of the water's frozen, and now you don't have any water in that bathroom or wherever you need it. So you're going to have to figure out a way to keep those pipes warm. You're going to have to do a better job of putting closed cell foam on the side walls of the crawl space. You're going to seal any air leaks. You're going to do whatever is possible to get the temperature in that place where they freeze at 34 degrees. All right. Get it at 34, no more freezing problems. So that's how you solve the problem. So PEX. So if you don't want to put PEX in, or maybe it already is PEX, then you just have to figure out a way, whatever the cheapest way is, to get the temperature in that space at 34 degrees. Good luck. DJ wants to know what material pipe. I'm trying to get away from PVC. Well, you can put copper in, but soft copper, but I hope you are really good at picking lottery numbers. I can only imagine what did you say? 350 feet? No, 500 feet. 500 feet of 2-inch soft copper K, because it's got to be K copper, by the way. So K, that talks about the thickness of the pipe. All right. It could be $10,000. So why not put PEX in? Look at PEX. PEX is a great material. So PEX is completely different than PVC. So go to UPONOR, DJ, go to UPONOR site, UPONOR, and see if they don't make 2-inch PEX. I know they make 1-inch. I would like to believe that they make 2-inch, and just see if they recommend it for direct burial, as a water line. All right. So do your homework. All right. Thank you. I'll do my homework. Yes. Speaking of homework, yes, always go to AsktheBuilder.com and do your search there first. LV Teach Me, good information about structural engineering. Yes, it is. They're always the best. I know quite a few good ones. Steve Schaefer's one in Cincinnati, Ohio. He's retired now. Great guy. Pex, yes, thanks from a steam railroad conductor from Connecticut. Hey, David, yeah. I got to come down and ride that steam train. I keep putting it off. I'll do it next summer. Remind me, and I'll come down. Boy, I'd love to be up in the cab, but the owner of the railroad might not let me. But I'm a certified, past conductor. So maybe he'll let me go for a ride. All right. So anyway, all right. Here, Idris, why do we need trusses? Okay, so that's a great question because I absolutely love to do common framing. In other words, I know how to use a framing square, and I know how to frame a roof. I mean, it's even complex ones. So roof trusses. Here's one of the advantages of roof trusses. So a roof truss allows you to use smaller dimensional material, and they can typically be made faster in a factory, and the factory has economy of scale because they are getting the material much cheaper than you buy it at retail price. And you can frame the roof faster, all right, depending on if you're skilled, how big the crew is, whatever it might be. Whereas if you don't know how to common frame, I mean, if Larry Hahn was still alive, he probably could outframe, and he could build a common frame roof as fast as they could set trusses. But that's a story for another day. He was a great carpenter out in California. He passed away, I think, about 8 years ago. Anyway, I wish I would have gotten to meet him, but I didn't. So anyway, trusses are great. Now, there's also bad things about trusses. Okay, so if you're a firefighter, fire departments hate trusses. They hate everything about them. All right. Because the roof can collapse faster, and firefighters, they like to vent a fire. In other words, the way they put fires out, a lot of people don't know this. So think about it. If you got this roof and all this hot gas is up trapped in the roof, they like to push the fire up and out through the house. So firefighters, when they arrive on a fire scene, the captain will, as long as it's safe, he'll instruct, if there's an interior fire going on, a pretty good one, they will instruct one of the firefighters to go up on the roof and cut holes in the roof. Basically just make a hole that the fire and all the hot gas can come out with. Well, you do that on a truss roof. I mean, many a firefighter has died because what happens is all of those wood parts are only put together with these steel plates that penetrate. They have this steel that only penetrates in about 3/8 of an inch, half an inch. And once that wood starts to burn through and char, the truss weakens. So there, but I've always told the firefighters that complain to me about it, because I like trusses, is I say, here's what I say. I say, why are you worried about it? In other words, it's not your problem. Meaning, I know if someone's in the house and you've got to go save them, I get that. Okay. But if everybody's safe and nobody's in the house, forget about it. Just set up a defensive position outside. Let the place burn, for goodness sake. Let it become the insurance company's problem. Don't put yourself at risk. Forget about that. And you should know, you should have an inventory of all the houses in your community that have trusses. You surely know it with all the new construction because it's on the building permit. So as the number 2 guy or number 3 guy is driving the engine to the fire and the captain is sitting in the passenger seat, he should be going through a book or on his computer or tablet and quickly look up the address. And he goes, oh, before they even get there, they'll go, oh, that place has got trusses. We're not going up on a roof, but what do I know? I mean, I'm not a firefighter, but I just use critical thinking skills. So anyway, all right. All right. So a lot of great questions today. All right. You're welcome. We can work that out. Oh, that would be awesome, David. Boy, would I like to get up in the cab. That would be amazing. Yeah. You know how to get a hold of me privately. That would be great. Josh Perry 3. I want to build a house on the farm. We bought about 700 feet downhill from the road, 50-foot vertical drop. City water line is at the top of the hill and it's 5/8. What size do I need to get to the house? Oh, that's a long way, 700 feet down. I would you're not going to have a water pressure problem because you're down 50 feet. It's okay that the meter's 5/8. I can tell you that I would probably, for 700 feet, geez, I'm going to put in, I'd have to do the calculations on paper, but my gut is telling me minimum 1.5 inches. 2 inch would probably be better. 700 feet's a long way. All right. So you'll never regret it. Here's the thing you need to know about this. For the most part, you only get one chance to do it because it's so expensive to go back in and dig it all up and then put in another water line. So if it costs you just an extra $500 or $1,000 in material to go from 1.5 to 2 inches, it's so worth it. It's so worth it. Just do it. I mean, you'll never regret having a bigger water line. Yeah, Earthball. So do you know where that came from? Earthball. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to answer that. Maybe someone will answer in the chat. So that I can't take credit for that. All right. That came, somebody else said that. All right. So do you know who said it? And do you know what television show it was on? Okay. So I don't know what prize I'll give you, but you'll just have the satisfaction of knowing that you got it first right. So if you know the name of the person, the actor, the character in the show, and then the show's name, just go ahead and put it in the chat. Didn't know that about firefighters. Yeah, firefighters, they're awesome people. When I was very young, I wanted to be a firefighter. But the problem now is it's such a dangerous occupation, and the average firefighter lives 10 years less than you do. All right. So the trouble is they go into these fires, even though they're wearing the SCBA equipment, self-contained breathing apparatus. They are completely coated with toxic, really very toxic chemicals. Anytime this burns in a fire, so this is a plastic pen. So look at all the plastic that's around me. Well, there's not too much, but there's plastic. Well, there's some plastic right there. So you think how much plastic you have in your home. When you burn plastic, it creates a very toxic gas. And then when they go in and overhaul a fire, so overhaul, what that means is the fire is pretty much out, fire's out, but there's still smoldering. There's still smoke, light smoke. It's smoky around. And they go in with these poles and they start tearing apart ceilings and walls, and they're looking for hidden pockets of fire. All right. That they want to extinguish because they don't want to have to come back out. All right. So if they take off that breathing apparatus, they're inhaling all of this horrible stuff, these cancer-causing fumes. So that's why if you have an outdoor fire, like a bonfire, don't you ever, ever put any plastic in it. Do not burn plastic. Do not allow anybody, little kids, yourself, anybody to be near a fire where you're burning plastic. It creates these horrible toxic chemicals. Do not do it. All right. All right. Let's see. Yes. Yeah. Oh my God. Whatever. All right. So we're running. I mean, can you believe 53 minutes we've been on? It's just insane. I can't believe how fast time goes on these live streams. I hope you learned something new today. And yeah, more thumbs up. I mean, remember, please, if you like this information, click the thumbs up for me, okay? It really, really helps. And another thing I need you to do, please, if you're on social media, I'm not. I mean, this is social media. I know YouTube is, but I don't do any other ones for some personal reasons. But maybe you do it. So help me, spread the word to all your friends. Tell them about the Ask the Builder live stream every Monday through Friday. I'm trying to get the live viewers up as high as we can get it. So we've got a long way to go as far as I'm concerned. I typically set a very high bar for performance, and I just want to get as many viewers as possible. And because I know we're going to have more fun if we do that. So we're going to have a lot more fun. Yeah, it's the same link each day. Yeah, because what I'm going to do, that's a great question, David. I just want people to come to my landing page on my channel page, because right there, what happens is when YouTube is very smart, when they know when I've set up the live stream, which I do a half an hour before, it typically switches my trailer out and it puts the live stream, and it says, hey, the live stream is going to happen here in a few minutes. All right, so watch that. So, for example, like tomorrow, and tomorrow, just so you know, tomorrow, if you're going to be here, I may be a minute or two late because this will be fun if you're interested. So I'm a guest routinely on a live radio show of all places. I hope I'm on tomorrow. We don't know. If you're watching the national news, you'll know what I'm going to say, why I'm hesitating. So I'm on a radio station every, 3 to 4 weeks called, it's WLIP. So WLIP, WLIP. So go to WLIP.com tomorrow at, 3:36, because they always have me on after the break and they're always running late. So it might be 3:36, 3:37. And you can stream it live. It's a live radio stream. And I'm on with Frank and Kim. That's a husband and wife team. And they own the radio station. And they also own this publishing company. They've been publishing my Ask the Builder column for, 20 years. And so I have a lot of fun on the radio show. But I'm going to be, on the radio show from 3:36 until 4 o'clock. But they have a hard break. I used to do a 2-hour radio show, and I always had we call them hard breaks. I had a hard break at noon or at 10 o'clock in the morning for national news. The feed from the big boys. ABC News or whoever it was. And that flipping news starts at noon. All right, it doesn't start at noon and 3 seconds after. All right, so you better be off the air. All right. So if the producer does his job, which he does usually a pretty good job, he brings up the bumper music and Frank says goodbye. And so about 10, 15 seconds before 4 o'clock, I should be off the air, which allows me to click the go live button. But anyway, so I should be here on time, but I may be running a little late. So anyway, David, just have everybody come to my Ask the Builder page on YouTube. That's always the best URL to give them. You'll never go wrong doing that. That's for sure. All right. So we got a few more questions here. Best sealant for exterior cracks and cinder block foundation. Will's got a question. Well, Will, depends on how big the crack is, so, you could caulk it with that PC epoxy. I've got a great video on my website just go to AsktheBuilder.com and type concrete epoxy into the search engine. See, once again, every time you got a question, go to the website and magic will happen. In fact, you should be doing that even while you're hearing me talk. You should do it. And then maybe ask a follow-up question if you watch a video there while I'm talking live here and I don't answer your question. So the concrete epoxy, that PC epoxy, it comes in a caulk tube, really wonderful stuff. If it's a bigger crack, you may just have to use regular mortar, so, and then watch my videos that I forget who I told earlier about. I've got a 3-video series that shows you how to repair the spalled facing on concrete block, how to re-stucco this. So that'd probably be a good video series for you to watch. Well, I wouldn't call it a major partnership. I'm just a guest on the show. Here's what I love about this show. So, Frank, I've never met him. I hope to meet him maybe this year. So he's a wonderful man. And what's fun about doing this show, first of all, it's live. So he asks me questions and, you can't, it's just like here, I can't go, wait a minute here. Wait a minute. Let me look it up. That doesn't work. All right. You have to know the answer up here. All right. So I love that. I love everything about that. Here's what's cool is that Frank sometimes will never talk about anything home improvement. He'll just start asking me other questions about stuff. Sometimes he gets a little bit into politics. He and I think, are not complete polar opposites, but it can get really kind of interesting, So he's a very, very smart man. His wife's very smart. And Rihanna, their assistant, is also on the show sometimes. But, what I'll start to do is whenever I'm on, well, here's what happens is I put it in my newsletter. So if you want to know when I'm on that radio show, that's why you need to be on my newsletter list, because tomorrow morning, all of my newsletter subscribers, I'm going to send out a little blast and say, oh, by the way, if you want to hear me live on the radio today, go to WLIP.com at 3:35 p.m. All right. So that's another reason why you should be subscribed to my newsletter. All right. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything ever. All right. So I got a few more questions. Yeah. 2-inch pipe. Eastern Kentucky, shale and limestone. I know the geology very well. I wouldn't recommend putting the water line in a conduit, no, but I would dig the trench, and whatever the recommended frost line is. For example, like in Cincinnati, the frost depth was 30 inches. That's how deep we had to go for our foundation work. But the water department, the Cincinnati Water Works back in the day, when we dug a trench to bring a water line into a house, it had to be 42 inches deep. So they went a foot deeper than the frost. All right. And that was a smart thing to do, because sometimes you can have a really bitter winter and the frost might go 38 inches deep. Okay. So you want to find out what the frost depth is, Josh, in your area. I don't know what it is, but Eastern Kentucky, I'm going to guess that your frost depth, same thing. It's probably 30. So anyway, you want to go 42 inches deep or so. You want whatever the frost depth is, go 12 inches deeper. All right. Then I want you to buy, get a big truckload of sand. You'll probably need 2 or 3 or 4 big, you probably need 30 cubic yards of sand. And then you're going to put down like a 4-inch bed of sand in this trench. All right. And then you're going to put the water line right in the center of the trench. And then you're going to cover the water line with another foot of sand. All right. So you're going to have a lot of sand, but that's going to completely protect the pipe. You'll never have any problems long term. All right. So that's what I would do. Okay. Looks like the questions have ended. We've been on for over an hour. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So I'm going to end the live stream. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. Once again, give me as many thumbs ups as you can. I need you to spread the word about the live stream and on social media with all your friends, whatever. And we'll just have more fun here, because the more people that watch, what's the benefit? The benefit is we're going to get a wider variety of questions, and you're going to learn more. You're going to discover more. You're going to discover more how to save money and time. So that's, because what we're trying to do, here's the goal, just if you haven't already figured it out. And I've thought about this for years. I'm trying to get all of the stuff that I know out of here. I want to get it out of here and either onto paper or onto video before my family sends me back up to heaven. All right. And hey, by the way, look at this. So this is kind of a running family joke here. This is my daily missal. So this is the prayer book that I had as a kid in grade school, and it's got a bunch of special prayer. Now this is not really a sensitive subject, but you may be very secular, but back in the old, this is actually a really funny subject. Just go look it up online about the Catholic Church and the word indulgences. So INDULGENCES, so indulgences. All right. So it's kind of a running joke in the Catholic Church. All right. So I don't want to go into it all. So in this book, there are all these prayers, and they have at the bottom of it, like if you say this prayer and you're sincere, then you get like 5 years off your sentence. All right. In purgatory, so if you don't understand the Catholic religion, don't worry about it. But so I always tell my wife, like, make sure you put this thing in the casket. Don't you dare forget to do this, because this is my ticket. I get to go right up to heaven, man. I get to go straight up. I don't have to do that purgatory thing because I said a ton of these prayers. All right. So it's a big joke here, and everybody laughs, blah, blah, blah. You'd have to be here. I'm sure you have similar jokes, with your family, it's so anyway, it's just a big funny thing. So Yes, sand. Sand is a wonderful material. Okay, so you know what to do. I'll be here tomorrow. Remember, go if you haven't subscribed to my newsletter, you might want to do it, and I'll give you that reminder tomorrow. But write it down: WLIP. So WLIP, LIP, WLIP.com. So WLIP.com tomorrow at just tune in at about 3:35. You'll probably hear a commercial running. They're always running late. I don't think I'm ever on the air until 3:37, maybe even 3:38, but then they don't have any commercials. So we're on for like 22 minutes straight. And who knows what Frank's going to ask me, but I can tell you one thing I'm going to ask him is I'm going to say, is the radio station still standing? Because if you don't know what's going on in Kenosha, Wisconsin right now, you must be living under a rock. So go type Kenosha into Google right now. And because right now, for all I know, it could be on fire. I mean, I haven't paid attention to the news all day. All right. So the whole city could be on fire right now. All right. So thanks very much for watching. Thank you for all those thumbs up. Really appreciate it. And I'll be back here tomorrow, the good Lord willing. And you know what? I've already got my way in. I've got my way in. I'm covered, man. I'm so good. Okay. I don't know if you're having as much fun as I am, but I'm having such a great time on these live streams. When my kids get a little older, they're going to get to watch these and see me laughing. So that's another reason I like doing it. So anyway, and my granddaughter. All right. Have a great night. Thanks so much for your support. Thanks for your loyalty. Thanks for being here. And I'll be here tomorrow. I really, really had a great time today.